understand something. The average rank and file blue collar brother on the block, okay, in urban Black America. Do you realize it's for him to see a woman that's a +6 is like a once or twice a year event? Do you realize that? For him to actually see it in his actual line of sight, a woman that's over a 6, that's like he sees that like once or twice a year, man.
Really?
Yes.
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 I believe it 100%.
Yes. If you go in inner city Philadelphia, inner city Chicago, inner city Newark, New Jersey, for that matter, you go in those places where Donnie Glover bases his show in Atlanta. You don't see broads that's a 6 and above on a regular in those places, New Orleans and all that. You're lucky if you can find just straight up 5s. You're
Miami
lucky.
Miami too. South Beach.
You're lucky. You're very Miami-Dade. You're very lucky if you can find a woman that's a 6 and above. You see women in those places. If you see a woman that's over a 6 and above, that's a rare event. That's the reason why brothers don't know how to act when they see
I think
shit
once
like
you get above, I think when you start getting above 6 and 7 and stuff like that, you do have to take opinion into. I just believe that.
Let me just say one thing. There is no 7.
I just think so. I mean, unless we don't have any real definitive, this makes a dime, this makes a 9, this makes a 8. We don't. I mean,
you know what? Let me put it to you this way.
And every man will disagree with that.
I'll tell you what we do. I'll tell you what. This is something all brothers here listen to.
You said twice a year?
Yeah. Here in Philadelphia, if you're in North Philly, West Philly, Southwest Philly, believe me, finding a chick that's a 6 and above, that's like a year or bi-year event. The usual situation is 3s, 4s, maybe a 5.
Damn.
You know what?
Yes.
One thing that I do when I sit down,
you didn't hear when Amber Rose was talking about this? Amber Rose talked about this. She's from Philly too.
Amber Rose ass is.
She talked about this. She said Philly ain't got no pretty broads here.
You doing a slut walk? Fuck Amber Rose.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
When I sit down and consult with a group of women, one of the first things I do is I ask everyone to rank themselves on a scale of 1 to 10, and you cannot use 7. There is no 7. It's either 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, or 10. And you know what the majority of women rank themselves as?
Probably 8. Yeah.
8. And you know what the majority of the women are? 6. 5, the average is a 6, and that's being professionally nice. Women look at themselves and see and will rank themselves higher than they actually rank themselves. Ask men the same question. Men rank themselves to about around 5, 5.5 if I actually aggregated. Men look at themselves and see their problem areas. Women look at themselves and see what they want to see. So
where would you rank yourself, Kevin?
I rank myself a 9.
Okay.
Men look at what they, and that's the thing. You can, they're saying, beauty is subjective. That's another fallacy. Beauty is not subjective. That's why we have the golden ratio, the Fibonacci equation. You can look at facial symmetry and see that beautiful people, you can map their facial structure, and it goes to a mathematical calculation.
Oh yeah.
Beauty is universal. And the thing is, we're talking about Black women. They are on the opposite end of the spectrum on all ranks. Facial symmetry, even to the way to Black women are starting to look more masculine. And this one, you start putting on additional makeup and, weave and all this other kind of stuff, to where guys are just saying, damn, and you're not even going to the gym to try to keep yourself in shape, and you don't have a good attitude. I would rather not. So the reputation is well deserved.
Yeah, I agree with Kevin. This is idea, and what's the name? Issa Rae tried to suggest that somehow this stuff was being said about Black women just coming out of nowhere. That's bullshit. It ain't just coming out of nowhere, man. This is stuff that's based on the actions of a lot of Black women themselves, and they don't want to address it. I mean, now, hey, look. The United States, the great thing about the United States is you got the right to be a complete loser if you want to be. If you want to be a loser, you can do that, and nobody will bother you. You try to be a loser in Singapore, see what happens to you, man. You can't just lie on the ground in Singapore.
So when the Asian magazine said that Black women are ugly, you guys co-signed that, right?
I didn't see that in Asian magazine, but I will tell you
Yeah,
this.
some years ago, Serena she talked about a black Asian magazine that said black women are ugly.
I didn't read.
Google it. You'll see it.
I've done martial arts for 30 years. My seafood. I would tell you one thing about the Chinese. They tell their daughters straight up.
You got that right.
You ugly.
You got that right. Yeah.
Often.
Okay. He ain't lying about that because I know Asian guys like that too.
Real with their women.
All right.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they'll tell you. I'm talking about Asian mothers. I'm not talking about the brothers. Asian mothers will tell their daughters, "You can't compete for that kind of man. He's out of your league. You can't do that. You're not good looking enough."
So if you say it was in a magazine, that's not hard to figure because their culture is one where they're actually real. So here's the thing: women who aren't as beautiful, they know they can't come in with attitude. They're much friendly. And here's the funny thing:
I hear you, bro. I just disagree. That's I just disagree. But I do agree with you when it talks about symmetry. I actually heard that before.
Okay.
I just when it comes to nose and lip and all that different stuff and the ratio and the symmetry of the face and stuff like that, things that are definitively black historically, scientifically, science has not been favorable to black people. Like, for example, the IQ situation, that it really is useless. It's a useless argument in my mind because
same studies
hold on.
bear out that black men are the most masculine of men.
Well, I mean, when you look at, I was talking about the IQ, like, for example, they talk about the IQ, right?
Okay.
The IQ, they use that to say that black people are inferior. I've done a few videos on that, basically saying we're inferior.
Right.
Well, and they use IQ, right?
Right.
So I say what I did was I went and did a study of all the people in America, the demographic, breakdown of people from all the nations, all the different nationalities, and people from nations with lower IQs actually come to America and outproduce people with higher IQs. Whites, now of course the Asians are at the top, right? I think it's Filipino, Taiwanese, but you got people with an IQ of like 75 outproducing an average white person. In fact, if you look at the wealthiest nations in the world, but I think about 4 of them out of the top 10 have an IQ under that of the average of a lot of European nations. You got Luxembourg, but you got places where people got an IQ of 79 and they're actually outproducing, which shouldn't be possible if IQ is the deciding factor. So I'm making that point to say that science sometimes can be used to shit on people. So, it just depends. I have a
hold on.
Let me get my point out. I'm saying personally, I'm not even attracted to nothing but black women. So for me, I may look at it different. I see plenty of beautiful women in Atlanta every day.
Okay, so you just said let
me get the point out. So when you say twice a year, I'm like, how are you gonna tell me what I think is beautiful? So that's all I'm saying. But go ahead.
Okay, see, this is first of all, you just said it. Everything is through your filter. Can you be pragmatic about an argument? Can you just detach yourself of what you think and what you feel? And it doesn't sound to me
I can, but what I'm saying is that scientific information that you introduce can be biased. That's what I'm saying. So what you're using is
okay, dude. You just asked to speak, and now you cut me off. You can't do that.
Go ahead, bro. Look, go ahead. It ain't nothing like that. I'm cool. I'm laid back. Go ahead. It ain't mad. Man, you go ahead and talk.
Well, okay. Let me put it this way.
Yeah, go ahead.
One time, there's scientists that believed the Earth was flat. Sometime there was another. At the same time, they had people that thought the Earth was round. They all had the same facts. They just had different theories. Facts are subjective to your theory. So if you're saying facts can be used, we know that. But universally, beauty is the same. Even if you look at certain features, it's still symmetry. And that's when we start getting into.
For example, I'll give you an example that's irrefutable. Name me a culture in the world at any point in human history. Name me a culture in the world where older women as a general course were considered more beautiful than younger women.
Never.
Okay. Female youth is considered universally beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Female youth.
Well, and this is where I think we start getting into these when we're starting trying to argue against nature and known realities. We're getting we're trying to prove a point of view, and ultimately comes down to this: you are what you are. You can always get better, but your value is going to pretty much be what it is. You can get better, but you can't get taller as a man. So you got to compensate. If you're a shorter guy, you got to do more than the guy who's 6 feet.
And I know better than most. I'm 5'7".
So men,
and disabled and blue collar. So I'm gonna have to compensate like a motherfucker.
So men have always accepted that. Women used to accept that. Now we're to the point to where women don't accept it. Men don't speak about it as much. So now it's easier for them to live in this alternate reality. But the net of it is, when a man has to decide whether he's going to wipe up and deal with, he vote with their feet, and they're not there. And the reason is clear. And it's not about men. It's not about bashing. See, whenever I hear that word bash, that automatically tells me there's a weak argument. The truth is not bashing. 2 + 2 is 4. You don't have to feel a certain way about 4. It's just 4.
True that. And I honestly do believe that one big problem
it's kind of funny
black men and black women is the fact
I ain't gonna get to say that. Go
that
ahead.
there is a lack of black female beauty. People, this is the reason why you say you're a biblical man. Okay. And I'm not a Christian, but I was brought up in the biblical way. I come from a long line of clerics, deacons and, preachers and pastors and all the rest of it. I got a lot of that in my bloodline. Okay. So I'm very conversant with both the Quran and the Bible. All right. So my thing is that King David and Bathsheba story is some profound shit. Beauty motivates men. The Taj Mahal. Come on, man.
Look, man, even the Bible said Leah was ugly. The Bible says Leah was ugly, and he worked the first 7 years. Jacob worked the first 7 years for Leah, indentured servant, got Leah, thought it was Rachel, worked another 7 years because Rachel was that cold that he wanted her. So he worked 14 years again. So, even the Bible says didn't know she was, tender on the eyes or something. So I get it.
Okay.
I'm not saying there's such thing as ugly women.
All right, fair enough. All right. So we all in agreement that beauty motivates a man. So now I want to bring it back to, I'm the blue collar brother. You guys on paper are better than me in terms of education, in terms of all of that. Okay. Social standing and whatnot. I'm the blue collar guy. Now I'm the boots on the ground guy in urban, inner city America. Now, a lot of people that listen to my channel and they hear the way I run my things in my house. See, I say that all men can't be Mr. Big, but you can be the king of your castle, whether that's a room that you rent and that's yours, whether it's a little studio apartment, a little bachelor pad, a little house, a condo, a mini mansion, wherever you lay, where you stay, that is your kingdom. And your word is law. Everybody that listens to my show knows what I say all the time about women that come to visit me. You can't do that shit in my house. All right, okay, that's how I say that. And one of the rules for my house is I'm the only one that wears pants here. I'm the only one that wears pants here. I don't want no women wearing pants around me in my house. You either wear dresses are preferred, skirts are permissible, and the only time I allow a woman to wear pants is if she wearing yoga pants for the purpose of working out. Whether she do Thai bow, kettlebells, run, walk, whatever it is that she want to do, Pilates, whatever it is, she got to be doing it for the purpose. She's either going on the way to working out or she coming back from working out. That's the only time I allow a woman to wear pants in my house. Now, if she want to wear pants, she want to wear corduroys, dungarees, Wranglers, and all that. Listen, you go outside my house, you go back to your house, you can wear all the Lees and Levi's and Wranglers and all of that. You can knock yourself out. But if you come here to wear the house that old man built, you wear